The way that this format is going to work, we're going to start off with some questions that we had already prepared, and then we're going to hand it over to the Tesla team, potentially to even walk around the car and just talk about what they're most excited about. And then after that, it'll just be kind of like we'll shut off the mics and you can just ask them anything that's just top of mind. But I would love you guys to just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey. Good evening. My name is Nathan DiGiusto. I'm the Director of Vehicle Engineering, responsible for the 3Y platform. And
Hi, good evening. My name is Emmanuel Lamakia. I'm the Model Y Program Manager, and I've been working at Tesla for 7 years. That's the accent.
So I just want to say one thing. So these guys are literally, as we know, Tesla is literally turning on 4 production lines for the Model Y. And so we caught them on the perfect Tuesday night right before they're literally headed to Austin and then potentially China and other places afterwards, but they were also in places before. So they are literally, as we know, Tesla is turning on 4 Model Y production lines across the world. And these are the guys that are essentially helping and going pretty much all over the world to make this happen. So let's just give them another round of applause, and then I'm going to pass it to Kelvin to
All right, we're going to kick things off, guys. We're going to start with branding and design. The old Model Y was kind of like the big brother of the Model 3. They kind of looked alike, but as everyone can see here, the new Model Y has its own unique look. Was that a deliberate decision, and what was the design philosophy behind it?
Yeah, this was deliberate because when you look back when we were launching Model Y in 2018, our priority was to have as many parts as possible common with the Model 3, so we're like headlamps and the chassis parts. So that was our priority in order to be able to minimize the amount of work we had to do and bring this product as fast as possible, ramping it up and having a common supply chain. But as we started to expand Model Y and became the best-selling car in the world, we started to have dedicated supply chain in all the regions. So now we have Model Y being built in 4 factories, 3 continents, close to 1 million cars, or over 1 million cars a year. So by doing that, we were able to now actually start having them divorcing from each other and actually have our own supply chain and own design. So that was really on purpose. And to answer your second question, the inspiration behind Model Y is really behind the Cybertruck and the Cybercab we recently announced, and really taking behind this light bar concept, one single pieces in the rear that you've seen with the rear robot event, for example.
Yeah, just to build on that, there were a lot of constraints in the original product from the state perspective. And credit to the team down in Los Angeles that did the design work. They really did an amazing job with what they had to work with. Because the importance was breaking into the market, showing the world what EVs can do, making a product that had the utility to be able to attend to most people's needs. But yet now that we've got the opportunity to go to it and make an aesthetic that matches the vehicle, that shows lines up in the proportions of the vehicle better, and then brings in some of that newer aesthetic that we have from Cybercab and and Cybertruck. It really gives the product a fresh new face.
Yeah, I'm just glad now I can tell the difference between the 3 and the Y. But one of the most important questions, I think of, it feels like, in Germany they had a couple of special colors over there, and now we know in Shanghai they have the glacier blue. So my question is, how come, or is the glacier blue coming to the US?
Yeah, so I think one of the real successes we've had here in North America is the existing blue that we've got. And it's really quite popular over here. So I think we're keeping on with the existing blue at the moment.
Yeah, it's not the ideal answer, but we're working on new colors. More to come, I think, on this one. And I cannot comment more on the timing, but there's more colors. And if you put 2 and 2 together when you look at the website, you can think there's some new colors coming. It takes some time for factories to ramp it up, and we'll be able to announce it very soon.
All right. The front light bar, which you hinted at, it gives the Model Y a very distinctive look. What is the design philosophy behind it? What inspired you guys to go with that? And then similarly on the tail light, that's really different too, right? That bar. What was considered around the design choices for the rear light bar as well?
So I'm going to start at the rear end first, because that rear tail lamp is really something special. It is a one piece. It is over 5 feet long, and it is an indirect reflective tail lamp, first of its kind in the world, where we're actually reflecting off the exterior body panel. It takes its inspiration from the Cybercab and the rear Cybercab light that's on that prototype that we have. So we've scaled that to the new Model Y, and we've kept it one piece, similar to what we did on the Model 3 refresh, where we've kind of integrated those lamps into the deck. We've done the same thing here, so it's all one component all the way across. And that provides really that distinctive look, that distinctive glow that's really unique to the back of the car. And I think it really sets the car apart. Its uniformity and its width is really special, and the way that it illuminates over the badge is something really I think we all can appreciate. As I said, it's over 5 feet long. It is one piece, it goes in together. So that was really I think one of the main styling cues for the back of the car. On the front of the car, we have a light bar as well. Again, borrowing from our Cybertruck styling. And expanding on that, so having the full-length light bar, having that distinctive front Tesla look, that front Tesla appearance that I think is starting to become more ubiquitous with products like the Cybertruck and now this product here as well.
So as we know, the Cybertruck, for example, does not have a logo pretty much on the whole outside of it. And I think in Shanghai, I believe that there is the Tesla logo, but in the US, there is no Tesla logo on the front. What was the thought behind that?
Yeah, the main reason and the design intent was to actually not have a logo. So that's what you're seeing in the US, that's what you're seeing in Europe as well. And the main reason is that if we believe that the Tesla car is like identifiable, you can see, you can recognize as a Tesla, and we're confident that our design can separate itself from the rest. And if you look at it from clothing brand, for example, it's kind of a bit tacky on some brands where they're putting the badge and the logo everywhere, and some of the luxury brands, you don't even know the brand because they are that confident that they don't need to. And that's really, when we were working with friends on designing this car, it was really about being confident behind the design we have that we don't need a T badge and have this clean front. That was really the top priority. The reason there is one in China is purely because of homologation. If we could have convinced the Chinese government to not have one, there would not be a T badge.
All right, great answer. Let's talk about range and efficiency. Everyone's wants to talk about range anxiety is still a thing. The new Model Y has, I think, was it 2.8%? Is it more efficient in terms of range for the all-wheel drive trim? 320? Is that the
yeah, so I think right now, if you look at the website, I think it's 320 versus 310. So when we put this on the website, we're still pending the EPA results. We actually got the EPA results 24 hours ago. And what I can say is that it's actually more than 2.8, it's 5%.
Wow.
We're waiting right now on updating the website and getting the official, but by the time you start posting this, we should have updated the website, and it's 5%. I know we're getting a lot of questions like, why did we not increase the battery pack size and to address range anxiety, but what we've been trying to do is not just starting cramming more energy into our battery pack, because it also comes with higher cost, which would also come with a higher price and makes the car less affordable. So everything we've done really on this platform and on this Stream long-range all-wheel drive has been really to improve efficiency, and you can see that on the front end, on the tires, everywhere. And I think one of the questions you had is, what is the biggest improvement we've done on the range? Is really around the brake system. So we improved the overall brake calipers by reducing the brake drags, and that's how we got most of the improvement you're seeing around the vehicle.
Yeah, and like really is about efficiency. Like EVs are about efficiency, as Emmanuel said. Like the easiest solution is to put more energy in the pack, but that's also the expensive solution. Efficiency is so important because what it means is not only is it more range, it's also cheaper to run because it's less kilowatt hours per mile. It's also faster to charge because you don't need as many kilowatt hours to charge, so your charging times are down. And it also means that the purchase price of the car is lower because the battery cost still is quite a significant portion of the battery of the car. So efficiency is absolutely critical. And while we've got some wins, like Emmanuel mentioned, really it is a case of, on the efficiency side, tackling it on every single part throughout the car. And we have done that for, like, there's brake system is one, but there's tires, there's aerodynamics, there's low voltage loads, like just how much current draw does the low voltage system, even like there's an LED in the center console, and how long is it on, and how, like, down to the milliwatt where we're like that focused on efficiency, because every electron that we can save is one that we put back in our customers' pockets.
Yeah, and I think the one you will look at it is like we've been really like focusing on every small detail, like Nathan is saying, but some people I've noticed is like the skull cap on the mirror. This is one where it was like one of the late find where every time we go to the wind tunnel we find new improvement. The skull cap, it's not like several miles, it's like I think 2 to 3 miles, but it's like, again, it's like adding a little bit of improvement to get to those 5%.
The little line on the mirror.
The line on the mirror, yeah, it's for range efficiency. It's not just like make it look cool, it's range and efficiency.
Yeah, it's, yeah, it's just crazy just how you guys work ruthlessly on every little aspect for efficiency. You don't leave any stone unturned, which is crazy. I was talking with Ryan, he runs a podcast called Ride the Lightning, and we were just talking about the difference between the Model 3 performance in 2018, 2019 versus the latest one. And we know with this Model Y, I mean, this is the best-selling car in the world, and how big of an improvement for the 3 it was. So how would you guys say, like, you know, how can you explain how the updated suspension, the quieter, like less wind noise and this different body structure work together to improve the handling and reducing the vibrations?
Yeah, that's a big question. And again, we have to tackle it across multiple systems. Like going back into the aerodynamic, just starting with aerodynamics and then wind noise. Aerodynamics and wind noise are really quite complementary in that, like, if you are more efficient through the air, you reduce drag, you're also generally reducing wind noise. So things like the mirror change, things like sealing our cowl area up sealing our cowl area more reliably, doing that same treatment we had from the Model 3 update into this one here, continuing through the rear spoiler, rear diffuser. All of those changes that we've done to the product help smoothen the flow of the vehicle, and that then directly correlates to lower wind noise. We also have more laminated glass that also again further contributes to lower wind noise. And then you have some of the absorption on the interior of the vehicle. So a lot of our materials and processes that we use on the inside of the car include a lot more soft touch materials, a lot of acoustically absorbing materials as well. So you kind of package all that together with updated suspension geometry and body stiffness that we've done. And again, the sum of all those parts is really a significant step change in the NVH performance of this vehicle. And if you've experienced the old Model 3 to the new Model 3, it's another step again on this car that we've been able to do with body structure and stiffening. As it relates to suspension, jump in here if you need, as it relates to suspension, some specifics on the front end, we've updated geometries. Slightly slower steering ratio because the car in the past was maybe like, it's a little slightly slower to better match the characteristic of the car. It is an SUV, it has a higher center of gravity, roll center on it, so a slightly slower steering ratio on the front. And then at the rear, the focus has really been on impact rejection. So impact being when you're going over harsh inputs, speed bumps, cracks in the roads, cat eyes in the road, making sure that you don't get that reverberation through the back of the car, So the rear suspension has additional cross bracing through the rear suspension system to stiffen up the lower end to prevent that reverberation, body stiffness improvements, and overall geometry changes.
Yeah, what we also did on the suspension, we went to the same suspension we have on Model 3 with frequency-dependent dampers. The other thing on the body stiffness, what it allowed us, and I think we can maybe when we walk around the car, we can show you and pull the screen, the car screen. But when you pull the car screen, you will see there's actually an addition of 2 new braces that actually connect the shock tower to the body and allow us to make the overall front end of the body stiffer. We reinforce the rear header where the lift gate is going and attach where the hinges are to again improve body stiffness. And on the rear of the car, if one day you want to stick around the car, but under it there is actually a new brace we've added to connect the subframe to the body, again to stiffen the back end of the car. So overall, it resulted with a 3% torsional stiffness improvement into the vehicle that then in result allow us to reduce the bushing stiffness to improve the overall comfort of the vehicle without giving away the DNA of a vehicle, which is having a fun handling and drive when you do a mountain road, for example.
Yeah, if you experience new Model 3, like the frequency selected damper is definitely a big enabler on that, but also you have that confidence when you drive it that it's able to absorb imperfections, it's able to absorb imperfections in the road and still feel smooth and confident through them. And this exhibits all of that. It's really great.
Can you talk about the new door and latch and seal systems? You know, doors and how they close and the thump that they make. It's kind of important for a lot of buyers. You know, German automakers are known for the door and how they sound. Can you speak to the new latching system?
Yeah, the new latching system is actually the same one as we have on Model 3. Before the transition of the new Model 3, we were using a latch system that was designed by suppliers, but with the new Model 3 we transitioned to a new design that was made in-house that is acoustically sealed latch that allow us to get this improvement when you close it. On top of that, like we discussed, we did a lot of NVH improvement, torsional stiffness improvement that help with not having this reverberation when you close the door. And last but not least, the check strap. So you know what's holding the door and allowing you to have different detent and hold it in different position. We tuned the profile to actually have a smoother closing effort when you're opening and closing it. So all of that resulted in this more premium sound when you're closing it.
Specifically the trunk, obviously even the closing system on that, is that software or is that hardware related to even make it close quieter?
Yeah, so if you open the trunk right now, you'll notice on the old Model Y versus the new Model Y, on the left side, on the old Model Y, we had the power strut and the passive strut on the right-hand side. And now on the new Model Y, you have a power strut on both sides. So that allows us to actually improve fit and finish, but also being able to tune the software to have a slower closing effort and having this better, what do you call this, quieter noise when you're closing it.
Graceful. It's more graceful. Like it closes more gracefully, more smoothly. Its pinch detection is better. Its operating domain, like cold weather and with snow, is better. So it just gives us more flexibility to not only make it fit better geometrically, but also perform better in different environments.
All right, we're going inside the car now. Big question for you. What was the reasoning behind removing the gear stock in favor of the touch controls while keeping the turn signal stock?
Okay, turn signals. Yes, we kept turn signals. Yeah. Do you want to take turn signals? Do you want me to take turn signals?
Yes.
Good.
Now we can use our blinkers in roundabouts. We couldn't.
Roundabouts, yeah.
Roundabouts was the big one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from European market especially, like roundabouts are a lot of feedback. Do you want to take this one or do you want me to take this one?
I thought I'll leave it to you.
You leave it to me. That's fine. So definitely roundabouts were a big one in Europe where indicators indicators, we got a lot of feedback there that on the Model 3 update that indicators were necessary. So we've done that, and what that allows us to do, actually, like on the Model 3, we have lots of functions in the steering wheel because you end up with like indicators, you end up with high beams, you end up with wipers, camera, and one other.
First camera.
Gear shifter.
Voice.
And voice. So 6. You end up with 6, not including the scroll wheels, right? So it ends up being 3 per side, and then that one function that's like in the middle, you've got like stretching together, and that layout is a little clustered. So by taking indicators out, not only do we attend to the customer feedback we've got, but also it allows us to simplify the buttons. So then we end up with like 2 and 2 either side. So that makes it ergonomically better as well. And then for drive selector, I think drive selector right now, it's with auto shift, and like if any of you have experienced full self-driving and auto shift, it's really getting more and more mature. I use it every day, and I think that'll become more and more proficient. It is right there on the screen, right next to you when you're ready to go, so it self-presents. And we didn't get anywhere near the feedback on drive selector, and we believe that we've got a solid solution there for auto shift.
Yeah, and if you also look at the indicator stock, we didn't go back to a full 2 detent. I think some of you probably noticed there's like, you have 1 detent, and then you have a second detent. We didn't do that, we just went with 1 detent because also now with the auto cancel, which is working very well, we didn't think it was necessary to go with a 2 detent where you can just like stick and the indicator remains on, because we have the auto cancel, and again, with the firmware, with auto shift, it's getting much better.
Will the stock come back to Model 3?
No.
No comment.
So how did you guys also achieve the fastest rear folding seats in the industry? And I also noticed too today, like the front seats, so if there's someone sitting in it, actually will go down partial, but if there's no one sitting in it, it will be able to move up accordingly, and then it moves back after it's down. So
The seat conversation we had in the design studio was very interesting. When we talked about, okay, let's have this power recline seats, we had a design, and the seat was folding in 7 seconds. Okay, and we were like, today when you you push the button with the spring, it's actually like instantaneous. It's like 1 second. And we're like, if it's 7 seconds, you're holding something, you go to Home Depot, you're like, okay, now I have to wait with the auto front feature now as well. So we're like, okay, we need to find a way, we need to challenge and those 7 seconds, because in the industry, like 7 seconds is pretty normal. So our design team went back, worked with the supplier, designed like a bespoke gearbox that allows us to actually shave off those seconds and get to actually an end product of 4.5 seconds.
Yeah, break the requirements. That's like, it's very easy to accept industry standard. It's very easy to accept it and take what's off the shelf and go for it. But no, we didn't stop there. Like, we weren't satisfied with that product, and so yeah, in-house design of the gearbox, and some work with some of our partners, and we got there.
You guys also redesigned the center console. You added interior LED lights. You have some new woven and textured dashboard materials. Those are all refinements. Can you speak to how these design changes help enhance the premium feel of the interior?
You can go for this one.
Okay. Yeah, I think like the wood is gone. I think we're looking at it. We're like, okay, what we want to do is with craftsmanship, we'll always want to make sure that the car is still a calm, quiet, and serene environment. So with the aluminum edition, the genuine aluminum edition, we wanted to make it more premium. We also added stitch on the IP, stitch on a bezel around the console. Again, it's not trying to put too much jewel. We're just making it like a nicer, more serene environment. Again, like Nathan mentioned earlier, when we talked about the NVH, we use more premium material, not just to make the overall cabin look more premium, but also serve a purpose of improving NVH. Okay, so if you were to touch the headliner and the pillars, there's actually a foam backing of 2.5, so haptic-wise, it's improved for you, but also on the NVH side, it's a major improvement for overall cabin noise, road noise. On top of that, we wrapped a lot of the materials. There's no more molding color on the door trims, on the console. All the materials have been wrapped. We also improved the trunks because the Model Y is really a family vehicle where you also load and load a lot of items. You go to Home Depot, and in the past with the molding color, it would get scratched. So now we have carpeted trunk side trim as well as liftgate that got covered completely, and it's better for overall like when you want to load it and avoid scratches. Other thing we've done is hiding the speakers. Okay, so the liftgate speakers are still there, but they are hidden behind the fabrics. And also, again, is like we want you to not know where the sound is coming from and enjoy this overall ambience and atmosphere when you're riding the car.
No, that's awesome. You know, one of the things that I love about my Cybertruck, because I think it was the first one that had it, right, was the front-facing camera. So you brought that to the Model Y. So, you know, what was the thought behind that? Is autopilot or FSD integrated at all with that? And then, you know, do we think the Model 3 Highland is going to get it?
Yeah, so there's a specific challenge on Model Y in that it's like Model 3 doesn't have this challenge to the same extent, in the fact that Model Y is larger and taller. It has a larger blind spot in front of the front fascia. And so when we're doing things like actually smart summon, it allows us to like identify that area in front of the car. So that's the primary function for the front fascia camera, and the reason why Model Y specifically gets it. And Cybertruck, yeah, those larger vehicles with a bigger blind spot in front.
So I thought now we could actually transition and go, if you guys want
Sure.
to start walking around, because I think we answered a lot of the major questions, and I know as far as time, I know there's a lot of things you guys want to get into.
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple of extras like that are probably worth mentioning when we can go through this. One of the big ones I want to talk about on the back end is really the damageability improvements we've done to this. Like, not only do we have here like a one-piece light bar that extends the entire length of the car and looks really, really cool, but the other thing we've done in this layout is actually try and make it better for damageability. Often the previous generation, you'll see like the bumper and the rear tailgate are super flush, and any damage to the rear fascia can then immediately go on to the rear liftgate. So we've done a lot of work to try and find some offsets there. So from a damageability perspective, if you have a small impact or some small incursion, that you're not necessarily damaging sheet metal and getting into a big repair bill. We've got both hard resin that's offset here from the sheet metal, and then also another resin spoiler here at the back that are more durable and can take small bumps and hits. And then this rear spoiler that we've got here, we've been able to really tighten the rear radius on it and fine-tune this top surface here, because this is super critical for aerodynamics. This, in conjunction with the lower diffuser that we've got, which also sticks out further towards the rear, allows us to improve not only drag but also improve rear downforce and give us more high-speed stability. So at highway speeds, like real highway speeds at 60, 70 miles an hour, this car has a lot more confidence to it in its road holding and its maneuvers. Anything else on the rear, Manuel?
I think one more thing on the rear, the towage cover.
Yeah.
One of the feedback, and again, I think it's one thing when you will look around the car, we've been listening to the feedback we're getting, you know, from you guys on social media, or we get email constantly, is that we're not being tone deaf, you know. So one of the towage issue was the towage cover is hard to remove. People sometimes like break the clips. So now there's like with a simple coin and a quarter turn, you can remove it and reinstall it very easily. On the rear end as well, like I think you're all familiar, like we now have redundancy of the light because now the lamp are installed on the liftgate, so you have redundancy here and on for reverse, fog, and indicator. We don't have it right now in the car, but it's coming standard on all the cars. Long range all-wheel drive in North America is the parcel shelf. So the parcel shelf was redesigned to make it easier for you to be able to fold it. You can now like fold it and this will stay in place while this is fully pushed. And as well, like if you're not using it because you have to put a large luggage, we also have an option for you to be able to stow it under. So you don't have to just put it in the in your garage and then lose it and and forget it.
Yeah, and then with power seat fold here at the rear as well, like hands-free trunk opening. So phone paired, hands-free trunk opening. No need to worry about getting out and pressing the button if you have shopping bags. You also have then power folding seats here at the rear, and it's not only just like today we have power folding, we've released down, but this is now being a full power system. You then get folding up, so you can do that from the rear of the car. You don't have to go around the side. If like my daughter or my wife doesn't have the strength to lift the seat, now it's all power operated, so it's easy to operate.
Will there still be a 7-seat option?
Right now it's a 5-seat only.
Okay.
Was there any consideration to go into 48 volt architecture? I mean, they made a really big deal about the Cybertruck and that being revolutionary.
Yeah.
I mean, was that a conversation that you had, or?
At this stage, I think for Model Y, we're achieving what we need to do with the current existing 16 volt system. It's our own unique internally designed system for 16 volts, so we'll continue with that at this stage.
Okay. Did you guys happen to improve the vertical weight limit on the hitch so you can have more mountain bikes on your bike rack?
It depends on the configuration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so roof glass is another big one. So this is actually metallically coated roof glass that includes 2 layers of silver in it to improve heat rejection and thermal performance inside the cabin. And as you look at like internal comfort within the car, it's quite easy, and a lot of automakers do this, where they just start blowing more air onto you. And there comes a point where like the more air you blow onto someone doesn't necessarily make you more comfortable. It might make you cooler, but on a really hot day, just blowing more air doesn't actually make the person more comfortable. So when we take a look at like thermal performance, it's the same thing with range. We're chasing efficiency, right? And efficiency means trying to prevent the heat from getting in the car in the first place. So if you're on that long road trip, if we can reduce the fan speeds, kind of counterintuitively, that's actually more comfortable for you because we're not like throwing all this cold air at the occupant. So that's been a big one for Model Y, having that silver roof glass here across the rear. And then integrated into this rear header area, also another large talking point is the connectivity that we have. So up in this rear header area, we've got our own internally designed telematics control unit, which is where we've integrated all of our Wi-Fi, LTE, sensor antennas into one package, in-house design package. That's allowed us to improve things like phone as key performance, Wi-Fi connection, cellular data, like orders of magnitude better than what we had on the previous car. That in conjunction with ultra-wideband endpoints that we now have around the vehicle mean that the coverage that your phone key has now, again, order of magnitude better than it was previously. And I really think that once you live with a product like this and you see the seamlessness that this will have with your phone and living with it every day, really make a massive difference. I'm not sure, Emmanuel, if you had anything else to add to that one.
No, the roof, I think you covered it.
Yeah.
And you covered the ultra wideband.
on the deck too, or just?
No, it's only on the roof glass.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about glass, we actually now have all the glass have been are laminated, so the rear glass are laminated. The backlight is not at the moment, but the rear glass are not laminated, which overall, like when you close the door, there's a semi-truck driving next to you, it's really quiet. I think one thing for me that I think when I was looking at the question and I didn't see it, and if you were to ask me what I think is really good on this car for the second row, especially if you have a family, is all the work we've done around the seat belt. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on the second row, the seat belt right now in the current Model Y is right here, and now we move the seat belt in the seat pillar. So I don't know if you have this sometime in my Model Y, it's like you move in the second row, you have folded the seat belt is stuck behind, you have to do this chicken wing and you struggle to grab it, and now we just like move it there, and it's like every single time you just grab it and it's really easy. And overall, so it's improving overall like usability, and it actually improves comfort and safety for the second row passenger.
Yeah, I have to like say thanks to Lars for that one, because that was like his he was living with I hate how the seatbelt gets stuck behind the seat. We've got to fix that because his kids couldn't reach it at the back. So credit where it's due. He pushed for that, and I think that was absolutely the right decision. You get to the rear seat now, it's like the seatbelt was like right there, and better accommodation means more usability means, and also it actually lays across the occupant better, so it means safer overall.
Sorry.
And then I think that you're going to go into the first row as well, right?
Cover the first one.
Yeah, so the first row also, we ran a lot of ergonomic studies on the first row, and for like human body sizes in different regions, and it worked out that the range of adjustability on the first row seat was actually slightly too high. So we pulled that down by how many millimeters? 40 millimeters. So the lowest position is now 40 millimeters lower than it was before, and especially for shorter occupants, that means you're going to reduce the amount of neck abrasion you're going to get, and it's also going to lay the seatbelt across a stronger part of your collarbone. So in the case of an accident, you're able to like that load that's going to go through the collarbone is in a stronger spot rather than being like closer up to the neck where you can't resist the force quite as much. So that's another small but I think important one.
Have you crashed them yet? How have they done the tests?
Yeah, no, we've completed crash validation testing and expect to meet all the performance requirements that we have done previously and actually implementing. We're at the stage now where we're implementing our fit data and crash data that we get from our field to like further improve our algorithm deployments, seatbelt retentions, airbag deployments, and really like going beyond what the ratings agencies and regulators need to the next level again.
Thank you.
I think that's a good segue for safety. I think there was a question about what did we do for this vehicle in terms of safety. So we added the blind spot indicator like we have on the new Model 3 inside the tweeter in the door.
And the Cybertruck.
And Cybertruck, yeah. And then another improvement we've done is we've added the in-cabin radar. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but we actually have an in-cabin radar inside the header in the first row. And that allows us to actually, it's a 4D imaging radar that allows us to actually use it in order to detect passenger in the first row, classify them based on their size, based on their weight and height, how we want to deploy the overall airbag system. And will also allow us in the future for us to be able to also detect child, or having a child presence detection in the second row. So that's something we will enable in the third quarter of this year, because right now there's not really a way for us to be able to detect if a kid or children was left behind. But with this new 4D imaging system that we have, we're able to detect heart rate and breathing human, and be able to like open window, call the emergency, call 911, or even turn the HVAC if someone is left behind and send a reminder.
Yeah, this is one of these technologies that Tesla's just like blown up the industry on. It's not as well known as maybe some of the other ones, but it absolutely is, because like there is a system within cars that tries to detect how big a person is in order to fine tune the airbags and how they deploy and how they react to the occupant. And it's moderately accurate, but with this system here, we got it exact. So it'll give us another lever to be able to further improve our airbag deployments and our safety restraint systems, to go even further in terms of like being able to protect our occupants based on their size and their ergonomics.
Does the new 3 have that cabin radar as well?
No.
Yes. Yep.
I just got one, so I was curious.
Yeah, Industry has it. It's going to be turned on again via OTA in the coming months. So that's a great thing with our hardware. Is that
Leave
we,
my kids in the car for now. That's right.
we
Forget
knew
about
it
a hot
was
summer
ready,
day.
just like we had to do some fine tuning, and it will
Carl
be
parents.
announced very soon. We'd have to confirm this one.
Do we see any potential where wearing a seatbelt is worse than not wearing it?
No.
No. Wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Really, everyone, and you tell your kids wear your seatbelt.
I saw that the Model 3 has that sticking out for side impacts, and I noticed the Model Y doesn't.
Good eye. Really
Yeah.
good eye.
I noticed that too.
Okay,
For
so
side-
yes,
for
you would
side
have noticed
impact.
that Model 3 does have a little catch here on the bottom of the doors. And Model 3 had a particular challenge in that, like, this gets back to our safety, our data-driven safety that we have at Tesla, where we're able to see what kind of impacts our cars get in, and able to look at our entire fleet, analyze that data, and go like, oh, look, here's a particular scenario that's not covered by the regulations. We should test for that. And that particular scenario was a large SUV or truck T-boning a car. And on Model 3, Model 3 is particularly vulnerable because it's a lower car. What that meant was for those larger SUVs, they didn't engage with the side crash structure that's here protecting the battery pack. And so what that meant, that all that load went into the doors of the B pillar, and we needed to react that somehow. And so that's the reason why we added that patch to Model 3. Model Y sits higher, so its existing crash structure engages better with those larger vehicles, and we're able to use the package protection that we have around the battery pack to absorb that energy. So existing Model Y was already good enough in that case, and it already cleared that mark. So. Yeah, and a few other tools, rear screen, rear charging. I mean, rear screen similar to Model 3, rear charging 65 watts, so you can charge like 2 MacBook Airs, and updated Mac pockets, so you can install them in the back. So the second row's got plenty. First row ventilated seats. You probably know a lot of the features of ventilated seats, the premium materials.
It's killing my arm.
So that's a lot of, I think there are a couple of leftover interior components. Anything else interior?
Yeah, I think one thing on the Airwave 2.0, overall performance is as good as the current Model Y, but it enabled us to do some new features. It's not on this firmware, but it's going to come for first customer deliveries in the month of March. But now where we've been able to do is that we have this, how do you call it? We have the swing features of the air vent. So the air vent is being able to swing side by side. Same thing as your oscillating fan that you have at home. So if you want to be able to have this feature, or you want to be able to feel this type of comfort, that's an option that now is available on this vehicle.
Bioweapon defense too?
Yeah. From the HEPA filter, bioweapon defense is still there.
Yeah, I think we're getting out of that. But yeah, HEPA filters, like people don't appreciate how significant a HEPA filter is from a thermal system. Like, go to any other car, the air filter is like this big. The HEPA filter is like huge, and the amount of filtration that you get out of the HEPA filter on existing Model Y is really massively industry leading. So carrying it over.
Any room for improvement since you mentioned radar and camera seeing the occupant? Any chance like in the future they use AI or anything that captures our face, and when in auto mode it just blows the most comfortable air to our face? And like Elon said, any input, it's the wrong input, right?
No, exactly. I think that's like always the logic, and that's what we're always looking for at Tesla, is ways to use our technology, use the data that we have from the car, and understanding how people interact with the car, so that it becomes more and more seamless, so that it just works. And if you've used driver profiles, like I share my car within my family, driver profiles, you walk up in a cold morning, it's got it exactly set the way you want to, and then there's always opportunities to build on that with additional hardware that we always build into the vehicles.
You improved the anti-slam on the door too, sounds like.
The sound, the closing sound.
I've got an early Y, and if you slam the door, it really slams hard.
Yep. Yeah.
These sound like they close lock.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think we're like really proud of at Tesla at the moment is some of the focus that we have on quality, build quality overall. It's really like at the point now where like you can put this next to any German competitor or whatever. We've got the data. Like it is as good as anything else coming out of elsewhere in the world. Both our factories in North America, Fremont and Austin, are really doing a really fantastic job of like root causing issues, finding problems, and just doing that like old school. Get on the gauge, find out what the quality problem is, fix it, iterate, to get that level of quality and finish that we've got. And I think it really shows, like, and it also shows in things like NVH. So, like, the only way that we can get the sound performance out of this car is actually by building the car in such a way that it's sealed and it's dimensionally right, so all the seals can work. So it's been a massive like task on that to like fix all those little 1%ers so that we can like.
I can hear them doors.
Yep.
Doors shut a lot better.
Exactly.
Is there active noise canceling inside the cabin too?
Nope. No, we've been able to do this all without active noise cancelling. And when you get an opportunity to drive it, which is not hopefully too far away, I hope you'll be suitably impressed.
You know,
Design any quality into
Absolutely. Yeah, everything. Like especially on the front end. I'm not going to go. My mic is going to cut out. I think if I go down there, but the way we've set up the front end of the car allows us to better fit the car right first time every time. And so the way the fender interacts to the headlamp and the way the hood interacts is better. Another small one, maybe like you guys are Tesla fans, so you probably know this. Who's tried to close a hood on a Tesla before? And like you know the problem I'm talking about, right? Like how do you close that thing without denting it? Go try and close this one here. It's, we've spent an extra a little bit of time and money to like just make that a little bit more satisfying, a little bit more robust. So little things like that help prevent unnecessary damage to the customer, make that everyday use a little bit easier overall.
Why is it not powered?
Yeah, like we definitely continue to look at usage overall. The front is, we generally see it as an occasional use compartment, generally speaking.
Do you think the reason is because you have to close it manually? Probably, yeah. I don't use it because it's like coming from a 3 to an S to a Cybertruck.
Yep.
I always use the front now because it's
Understood.
on its own.
Understood. Yep. Okay.
I
That's
always
something.
use the front.
Make it an option. Make it an option that costs like $1,000. Don't charge me for
Understood.
it.
But I always hate it because you're never, people that drive bad race cars aren't used to using the front.
That's
That's
right.
why they don't use it.
Yep.
And I used to always go to the back, but I had one of the 6-seaters. So all the groceries would fly up front at the race.
Yep.
So I'm like, I have to always use the front.
Yep.
But it would have been much better if I could just push the button.
Okay.
My mom
One
was
second.
front 0 times.
Or at least have soft close, where you just touch
Soft
it
close,
and
yeah.
it pulls it down. Soft close would be a good middle.
You know we've got a careers page as well.
Sounds like a $2,500 upgrade.
Seriously.
I wanted to ask about the speaker design in the door. Is there like an intention or intentional reason as to how you redesigned it like that in the top front of the door like that? I think they call it like invisible speaker or whatever they named it as.
Yeah, most of the speakers around the car you actually can't see. So, like for example, the microphones for Wi-Fi call, for hands-free calling, and most of the speakers in the trunk and in the headliner, they're all hidden behind acoustically transparent fabrics. So you can't actually see that they exist. The one at the front was actually an opportunity to introduce some design language and design theme into the front of the car, add a little bit more premiumness to the front area of the vehicle, and that's the one in particular that we decided to show off, and we have an opportunity to add some more premium materials to it.
Yeah, and one thing we wanted to do as well is like the rear-wheel drive trim has only 9 speakers and doesn't have this additional speaker. So what we wanted to do is it doesn't have that. No, the rear-wheel drive, which is not available in the North American market, but it's available in Europe. In China. So we wanted to be able for people to see also like, okay, I got a different type of trim and be able to visually see that. Okay, that's a difference. Yeah. If we were to go into the front of the car, and I know we have a problem with the microphone right now, but on the one thing I wanted to point, I think there's a question about the front, the drain plug. So we've been trying to improve overall like usability, and people wanted to use the front more often. So we added the drain plug so you can be able to wash items. For me, like the big thing for me is like when I take my dog to the beach, I always have like a towel full of sand, then I put that wet towel in the front. But then if I want to remove the sand, I have to go and get the shop vac. But now what you can do is you can just remove the drain plug, you can just hose it down, and that's it, it's done. So you can also like put ice, have a tailgate, have some beers, and we're also like there's some slot you will notice inside the front, as well as an edge that we've added. It's to be able to have in the future accessories for you to be able to have like separators you could add, as well as like a how do you call this, a baby change table that you'll be able to have, or be able to also add the coolers that we're designing. So we're trying to be able to offer you more accessories so you can use more of the front and make it more usable.
Yeah, there's some customizability things on here. We didn't actually talk about wheels and tires actually being out here as well, because you have the 19s here at the moment. And another item that we've done a lot of work on is enabling, like we call it the skeleton, like the underneath of the wheel. You see a lot of people take the wheel cover off and want to show their alloy wheel off. There's obviously an aero degradation with that, but here we've actually been able to design really what is quite an aesthetic 5-spoke wheel underneath this aero cap. And you can kind of see it by the way this like aero cap flower is here. By taking that out, you end up with quite an aggressive 5-spoke design. So that's like one other like customizability that people can kind of get. And then obviously the tires and the work we've done with tires for rolling resistance and NVH we didn't touch on, but obviously a lot of work there with our partners.
Does this have the structural battery?
No.
So for the tires, are the 19s the only option, or are there 20s available?
No, there's 19s and 20s. Yeah. Yeah, we're actually, we sold out of white interior already on Launch Series, and the 20s going fast.
Why did you guys give up on the structural battery pack?
No, we haven't given up on it. Absolutely not.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Do the ones out of Austin?
No, right now Model Y is built with the 2170 battery cell throughout North America. We continue to work on battery programs to further implement those things. I think we've definitely taken a lot on the structural pack was definitely a good technology exercise, and we continue to work on rolling that technology out further later on.
Cool. So my 2024 Model Y, like, there's still some rattles inside the cabin, like certain music that I play, I still hear some buzz in some of the speakers. Was all of that kind of addressed with this
Yeah,
version?
absolutely. Yeah, that's been a key part of it. Even down to the point of like modeling the acoustic speaker's effect under different music virtually before we even design the parts. Gone to that level of acoustic performance. So yeah, this is really special. This one, if you're an audiophile, I think you'll really enjoy it.
What was the intention on splitting the light bar in the front into the pieces?
That's really for pedestrian safety. It's not. It's something that we continue to look at because it's a global requirement, and we see like vulnerable road users, especially in North America, in Europe, and in China. There's regulations around this, and we do see it in our own data as well that vulnerable road users are at risk in regard to impacts with pedestrians and bicyclists. So having one light bar that goes across the entire length of the vehicle is quite rigid and quite hard, and in an impact with a pedestrian that would be quite damaging. By splitting it into 3 components, it gives us an ability to absorb some more energy in those frontal impacts, and also has benefits for damageability as well. So that way, like if something happens in the front of the car, you're not necessarily replacing this one huge component at a high cost. So it's got 2 benefits there, one for damageability, repairability costs, and the second for pedestrian protection and vulnerable road users.
Well, I think people were comparing it to the Cybercab and like wondering why it changed. Right?
Yeah, this is a global vehicle that needs to, in this format here, this is a global vehicle that will obviously roll out very soon. So we need to make sure that we've got all those regulations like locked up and in place. You know, we've set a high bar for ourselves as well. Like the existing Model Y has scored like top of its class in everything, and it's getting beyond that, which is our own internal target, to get even better again, especially in some of the Euro NCAP requirements. It's a bit of a mission, but I think we've got there.
Sure. Can you turn off just the center part of the light bar to get more of the Iron Man look going on at night?
No.
Software update.
All right.
The mirrors, blind spot. I thought I noticed or read on the website that it's actually in the mirror. We can actually
It's in here, yeah. Same as the updated Model 3, it's in the tweeter section next to the lamp. So that'll turn on when we get it. Yep.
I don't even look at
Right now we're just launching the 5-seater version.
So as director and program manager, like, tell me about your interactions with like Lars and Franz and like other folks at Tesla. Like, you know, what are some of the things you guys are responsible for versus them, and what is that like?
Yeah, so obviously work super closely with those guys that up on the screen behind you over there. And I'm like, we spend a lot of time down at the design studio talking about features, designs, engineering, performance. And so we frequently check in with them in terms of like what the overall performance of the vehicle is, what the features of the vehicle is, what the cost of the vehicle is, reviewing prototypes, getting sign-off and alignment on the direction of the program. So they're involved really quite deeply every step of the way. We last multiple times a week, Franz once a week. So they are absolutely like in the details as much as we are, no doubt. And they tell us how to do it as well. Like, we're not afraid to tell you how to do it. So, like, it's not all holding hands.
Do you guys look for any inspiration in some of the aftermarket, like accessories or even like changes to the body designs that are available out there? Like, does that provide any inspiration for you guys?
Sometimes. An example of that might be, I remember when we launched Model 3, people started breaking into them. And then we came up with, we'll do Sentry Mode. And like, that's how Sentry Mode was born. People were breaking into Model 3s. And we're able to like use that experience, that field data. People were coming up with all unique solutions to prevent people from breaking in. And they were like, well, we've got cameras and like a computer and Wi-Fi data. So like, let's just find our own solution. So yeah, it can be inspiration sometimes if we take a look at it.
I got a suggestion for Sentry Mode. Like if you go to San Francisco, for example, there's a lot of crime up there. If you could just turn it on like constant report mode for like short periods of time, when you know there's a lot of criminal element around, and you don't want your car to be messed with. That way you can see people coming from far away where it wouldn't normally detect. Just for like a short amount of time, like an hour or 2 hours or whatever. Easy software update.
What's the part reduction on this vehicle versus the old one?
Part reduction, I don't think I have an exact specification on that offhand. It's how many parts were reduced. We've changed over 50% of the bill of materials in this product with a real focus on manufacturability, ease of manufacturability, improving quality, making sure that it goes right first time right, and it's highest quality out the door. So I don't have a.
Will it still be the most made in America vehicle you can buy?
I believe so, yeah.
Do you plan on keeping these cars, in the 3 diverging a little bit, or do you think some of the elements of this vehicle are going to go to different? Or can you say?
Yeah, I mean, who knows what the future holds? But I think right now we've like through the Model 3 update, the Model Y update, we've been able to give both of those products their own language, their own styling, their own approach, and both been able to like get the feature set of both to a similar level where they've
People
got.
can't tell the difference.
Yeah,
They're not,
yeah.
they don't have the eye for it. Like my mother, for a friend, they're like, which one is that again? And I'm like, that's this. And they're like, no, it's that. And so it's nice that they're different.
Yeah, and they've both got their own language that meets their proportions overall. So I think we've kind of done that mission which we set out to do. Okay.
He wants to go home. That's the I want to go home side. Let me go home.
I'll take more questions.
One more question?
When it came to like the trunk design, I know you guys have specialized in trying to go for like minimalist style. So was this like designed for your trunk? Was it designed? Did you guys purposely design it there, or was it for like the class?
So it's for a few things. We thought that was, watching out for closing this. So the reason we added this extra component here at the end is for a number of reasons. Number one was that we wanted to integrate this full width light bar, and we wanted it to be one piece. We wanted to have that appearance at the back of the car that had that glow, that distinctive, iconic glow at the back of the car. And that necessitated a one-piece solution. And that one-piece solution, the whole light engine for that actually lives up in this top section here, up in a button. So there was a packaging constraint here along the top that required us to build the lamp a little bit higher than what you think. Secondly, it gives us an ability to solve damageability, because if you notice Model Ys, occasionally you'll see one that has a little bit of a kink here in the back, and that's like from a repairability perspective really quite expensive. So by being able to make it resin then means that we can make that, it's more durable, number one, and number two, if it breaks, it's then a cheaper part to replace. And then thirdly, from an aerodynamic perspective, this rear edge and this top surface is super important for downforce, for downforce and for drag. And in order to improve aerodynamic balance front to rear and high speed stability, we wanted to be able to optimize this further than we could have if we made it out of steel. Because if you're making it out of a sheet metal component, you can't get this detail in the surface at the same level as you can out of resin. And so it gives us that design flexibility to really optimize that top section there. And then Franz like the idea of squaring this off. I think it gives it a bit more of a cooler look too.
You said resin, does that mean it's carbon fiber?
It's a thermoplastic.
Okay.
So that brings down insurance costs, right? insurance cost of Tesla.
Should do, yeah. That's been a key focus that we're in here.
Normally, if you get a little dent, you have to replace the whole deck.
Yeah, here and also here, like protecting the lift gate at the back has been a key consideration.
One more question? One last question?
All of a sudden, there's a lot of
Yeah. Question about brake testing. Your have the Facebook in the interior. How did you test the durability of the interior?
The durability of the interior. Yeah, we have a durability test for wear and cycling and cleanability, both on a material level. So we test not only like for example the actual seat material itself, but then also the whole like seat assembly and at the vehicle level. So we will fold seats, we will have different abrasion come through, we will have different chemicals come over it, and we've got a whole routine that we go through at material level, system level, and vehicle level to try and prove how durable, like convince ourselves that the durability is satisfactory. And if you've ever owned the white, like everyone's scared of the white interior,
Superior.
but it's actually really good. Like
It's
it's
way
super impressive
better.
how durable it is, and that's a credit to our materials team who did an amazing job on that white material.
All right, let's give it up to Nathan and Manuel. They'll still be here to
No, I don't.
linger. If you have questions,
Can you just say your name?
Get into the why,
Emmanuel
check it
Lamacchia.
out. But
Emmanuel
thanks for coming, guys.
Lamacchia.
Lamacchia. What's his name?
Nathan Di Gusto.
Nathan DeGusto. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, man.